So let's talk about how we're generally going to want to run rotations here. So here what we've got is this yellow thing's the ball here, red's the offense, blue's the defense. Blue's us, obviously, for this particular scenario. So I've got it sort of in a 5-out alignment right now, but I'll change it. So let's just say what happens is we get a pick and roll going one direction. So red sets a screen here, and then we're going over the top here. And for the sake of argument, it doesn't really matter which of these players is covering it. But let's say, they're getting some dribble penetration here. It looks like it, might be an issue. On the weak side, since we've got two players over there, sort of three if you're counting this guy, depending if he's rolling or not, this guy needs to be helping over. Not just necessarily on the dribble penetration, but even, possibly on this roll man here getting a pass. Because, let's say that this guy's kind of, our big man here is sort of trying to drop to contain it. This dude's fighting over the screen. This could be an easy roll there. So we want our help to come from the weak side. And the lowest man on the weak side should be the one helping. So in that case, that's this guy from the corner. So now, as this guy's driving here, he's kind of getting met by I'll say big man for the sake of argument there. He's getting sort of trapped here, and now the roll man's taken away, but obviously that pass is wide open, so that's an easy corner three. So in this case, what we need to do when there's two shooters on the weak side is have this guy zone up the two of them. So what that means is you're going to want to play evenly between them, and you don't want to play like here, obviously. You don't want to be like in a straight line between them. You want to be between them and the basket, sort of, just enough so that when a pass is made, you can recover there, and still basically be in front of them. If you have to run them off the arc, that's okay. It depends on the player. If you feel like they're going to shoot and you need to fly at them, that's fine. So then what happens is after this guy is crashed down, this is where we get the X out from. Because let's say, if the pass is made to the corner, generally that's the pass we want to take away. We'd like it to be more up to the wing because that's easier to recover to. But let's say for the sake of argument, the pass is made to the corner. So this guy's going to go there. And now this guy who's done his job, he's come in, he's tagged the roller. Now he's going to go up there. So they're kind of making this X pattern here. That's why we call it the X out. So then these two players have essentially switched because if you recall, he started here, tags the roller, and then ends up recovering to the other guy, whereas he ends up on the corner. But of course, if you do a good job as this guy and take away that corner pass, because generally you also kind of want to be worried about him cutting back door. So generally you want to shade a little more towards the corner as that's an easier shot. And let's say if this guy had popped more and, the defense was a little more set up like this and there was some dribble penetration, like there was just a blow by on the perimeter, then after this help, obviously you want to take away that corner pass because if the pass goes here, that's an easier rotation to make. But, so yeah. So you want to take away the corner pass because otherwise the rotation is easier because what we're going to get here is, let's say you take away this corner pass. Generally what's going to happen here is if this ball gets passed right back up to the top there, then, you're sort of still zoning up the two. After you take that away, you're just right back on your man. And he starts going back out here. Now, if it gets to the corner, now you can get some crazy rotations where this goes here. Maybe he started to recover this way and is now coming up here. The ball gets pinged here. Hopefully this guy popped and we have another dude here. And now our guy's got to keep rotating all the way around. Or maybe he, this guy up top isn't really paying attention and he's got to make a long closeout. Now he gets blown by. So, obviously the defense can get scrambled. So that's why I said in the document we have here that if you're the closest player, then you just take the guy. So like, let's say this guy really overcommitted to stopping the drive and then the pass gets thrown to the corner and back up to the top real fast. So he's, came down here. If you're like, oh shit, I'm still all the way in the paint and you notice this is the guy up top, let's say the popper's over here, just take this guy, even though like technically that's not your guy here. It doesn't matter, we'll just shut down whatever's the threat. So there's two other scenarios. So let's say they're not running a 5-out. I mean, if they ever have a setup where they have like two guys in the lane, this is almost irrelevant because let's say they're trying to let's just say a guy's trying to blow by from the perimeter. I mean, they're just going to run into bigs anywhere they go. So the word rotation doesn't even matter really because you're not rotating. But so let's say we've got sort of a similar scenario here. So starting with this 5-out sort of concept. And again, one thing to keep in mind is if you're these guys and you know that you're going to be the guys that are potentially going to rotate, you're not going to want to be tight on these shooters because like even the guy that's 1 pass away is going to be a couple feet off the shooter to give a little bit of gap help. But if you're 2 passes away, if the ball's on the wing, I mean, obviously you got to play a little closer. If you're 2 passes away, you can be, practically, you can be more than halfway to the paint because by the time a skip pass gets all the way from there to here, you can easily recover. I mean, this is what, 10 feet maybe? That's not hard to recover in the time it takes the ball to get there. So yeah, you can give some pretty big gap help too, especially because, I mean, I think most of the teams we play aren't going to beat us from the outside. But they will beat us in the paint, so obviously we kind of want to prioritize defending there. So let's say that we're running the same pick and roll up top, but instead they've got a guy on the weak side block now. So the pick and roll comes here, and they've got some pretty good spacing. Let's say this guy's sort of in the corner wing, and then yeah, the paint there. This guy's probably not going to roll in this scenario. He's probably going to pop out because there's nowhere to roll to really. But it's not really important. So regardless, let's say there's some dribble penetration here. Now this is an even easier rotation for this guy because he really doesn't have to step all that far. But obviously, I mean, that pass is there all day. So what we need to do here is have this guy crashing down a bit. And you don't necessarily need to get inside this guy because, like, let's say this dude popped out over here or something. You're leaving this dude wide open if we're inside. And even though I said we want teams to beat us from the perimeter, I mean, we still don't want them to be taking practice jumpers, obviously. So what you want to do in that scenario is crash down about as hard as you can and sort of get on his back a little bit and just stick your hand in this passing lane here. So, like, don't make it an easy pass. Oftentimes, like, if you even come in, like, relatively close, they're not going to try and thread that little bounce pass through there. And if they do, obviously, we'll have sort of a double team going on down here, and then you can recover out. But assuming you can successfully deter the pass by, just getting your hand in the passing lane, being on his back, then it's a recovery right out there. The recovery's back out here, and we're all good. Obviously, if this guy's drifting over a bit and, let's say they get the pass through and there is a double and then he kicks it out, or for whatever reason this guy's slow, again, like I said, we'll just take the closest guy and then you recover out there instead. And of course, you'll probably take a step or two this direction, So it'd probably be like, you're taking a step out here, but you see, oh shit, he's got it. Let me go over this way. And, if this guy blows by here after he gets the ball, then, we still have a guy right here. And now we've got another guy that can help. So we're going to be packing the paint and we're going to be able to rotate. So I think, okay, that doesn't cover every scenario. So one more example. Let's say the weak side is really unbalanced. Let's say let's say it's almost like a 2-3 kind of setup here. There we go. So they've got sort of a 2-3 setup. And when they're running the pick and roll, they're going towards the middle of the floor from the wing, or regardless of what you want to say, it's more like, this is kind of the strong side, and it also has more players on it. So in this case, you do kind of want to help from the strong side here if they're starting to come down the middle here, because if he helps there, you're leaving this guy pretty wide open. But on this side, since there's 2 guys we can zone up, we could do the same thing. Now, it's a little dicier here. You don't love to make this rotation, so ideally, you don't really want to do this if you don't have to, because if this pick and roll is well contained, you're just kind of giving up a pretty easy pass. It's one thing if you're on this side to skip it all the way to the other side, but if you're here, I mean, that kick out's an easy pass. So it's kind of hard for one guy to be able to zone up both of these. So I guess what's important is in these kind of situations, if you're this guy, really take away the middle and sort of force him to come as far along the outside as he can so that this guy doesn't have to recover all the way to the paint. Hopefully he can only have to recover to here, and then, once the kick out's made, they can recover there. But it's the same basic concept. That's the only real time that you wouldn't want to recover from the weak side. So that pretty much gives you a general primer on rotations in general. Thanks.